Is it the same amount of time?
Yes, I'm sorry, 3 minutes.
Got it.
Don't pay me no mind when Mr. Johnson raises it.
Well, I think part of, again, what we need to recognize about this moment is that we cannot keep doing the same thing. We have to make a push, and we have to pass the baton. The Democratic Party, it's gotten out of touch. Frankly, Democratic Party leadership, I don't think they're very connected to you and I think it's time for change there, and I think it's time for change down here. And in our campaign, we do town halls, we go to Dem clubs, we go to candidate forums. We also go and talk to people out in the community who don't want anything to do with politics, because the reality is that is most people right now. Most people have no interest in going to a political event, and I can understand why. Because life is hard, because the headlines are insane, and because they're fed up. So we have sought to reach people and show up where they haven't been touched by politics in years, maybe even decades. But one thing I love to do is go stand outside of a grocery store and ask people what they think about politics, not even in a partisan way. It's not about left versus right, it's about listening first and talking second. And we've spent the last almost 1 year doing this, and what I've seen over that campaign is that the mood is changing with people because it's gotten so extreme. My experience in government has taught me that the government, believe it or not, can actually get things done. I know it's hard to believe, but it's possible. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of government, and I've had the privilege of being in the room where decisions have been made on the national level, with lives on the line. Working on national security, working on programs that have saved millions of lives and delivered billions of dollars of funding. That's a privilege and it's an oath I take seriously. And I've worked with Democrats and Republicans to do it. So I'm someone who's going to be able to hit the ground running on day one. I don't need the training wheels. We've called attention to topics that are bipartisan, whether it's the corruption with members of Congress trading stocks and taking corporate PAC money, whether it's the need for term limits, or what's happening with our nature here at the shore, in the Pine Barrens, the fact that our environment is under attack. But the Democratic Party needs to push new messaging, and part of that is about shaking things up. I have been most impacted, I think, by the stories I've heard from folks because the lecturing, it's got to stop, right? And I've been honored to be endorsed by a host of local, statewide, and national organizations. We have worked to get this race on the map nationally because with the redistricting right now, this could be the seat that flips the House. That is a responsibility that we all have right now. I too appreciate our democracy, but the reality is our democracy right now is under attack every single day. Black voters, gerrymandering, voting rights being taken away. We can push back and do our part, and I think our coalition that we built in this campaign can make it happen together with you. Thank you.
So the question was, why me? And what about my why makes me the best candidate to win this seat and defeat Jeff Van Drew? I'm not like any of the other candidates that have ever been put forth against Jeff Van Drew over the last 3 times that he has run. I'm not a polished politician. Half the time, I'm not even a really good public speaker. But the thing that I have is I have grit, I have determination, and I'm a member of the working class that has been hurt by the policies that have been enacted in Washington, D.C., like many of the people who are watching and living in our district. I can speak from firsthand experiences as to how Social Security cuts hurt our seniors because I went through it with my mom and my dad, who only earned $600 a month in Social Security. He thought he was like the big breadwinner. Medicaid, how that affects. Education, how it is, what the standards are for kids who have mental health issues. For workers that don't earn a living wage. For women who aren't given the same rights as men, whether it's for health care or for working. That's something Jeff Van Drew hasn't gone up against before. I am not bought by politicians or millionaires. I'm not supported by the political elite or the party machine. I'm a member of the citizenry of this district. I know every single inch of it. I've been traveling it for my entire life, whether it was for school, for work, or with family and friends. What is causing dissatisfaction here is that the system is broken and we keep going on the same hamster wheel where every 2 years we talk about the same important things over and over and over again and nothing gets done. One of the things I did in my career and being a caregiver for my mom is I couldn't just push things off to the next one and wait for something else to happen. I had to come up with those solutions. I had to make sure that they worked and they were going to work for a while. And if they didn't, find my resources and build my relationships so we could make life better. And that's what I want to do, is I want to make life better for the people in our district. And I know that my background and intimate connection with every single aspect of it makes me the best candidate to do that. Thank you.
So what distinguishes me from the other candidates is obviously experience. I've done this before. A lot of people will use the fact that I've run before as somehow a slight, and I take it as a badge of honor because in my household we learned if you get knocked down, you get back up and you fight again. And if you get knocked down again, you get your butt up and you fight some more until you win. And for me, I grew up in public housing. I have been at every end of the spectrum except rich, someday. But the bottom line is, I understand people. In 2021, when I first launched my first campaign, I got into the communities, even the communities I already knew. And I started listening to people, and I started crafting a policy. And one of the things that distinguishes me again is that every single one of my policies has a method to pay for it without increasing taxes. I built on that. When the second time I ran, we realized I was pushing more of my agenda and not the people, so we did a listening series. Meaning, I never left the communities. The chief complaint is that you only come around when it's time to run for office. And in some instances, you only show up when it's time to run for office. You have to be a part of the community, you have to have proximity to the communities. And you have to listen and be able to sympathize and empathize with people. Because it is easy when you've had the same experiences. As a young man, before I was in law enforcement, I was literally shot at and beat up by the police and arrested for a crime I did not commit. And my grandfather told me as I was going through the criminal justice process, he said, you did nothing wrong, you have nothing to be ashamed of. Keep your head up high. And here's the thing. If you really want to make change, get inside and make change from within. Become a police officer. And that put me on a pathway to becoming a police officer. I did it for 27 years, retired captain of detectives right here in Atlantic County. I didn't stop with that. I then picked up a law degree in my travels and decided I'm going to be a prosecutor. I didn't like prosecuting cases because I felt as though we always talk about the law enforcement aspects of racial bias, but we never talk about the bench. And I would present cases exactly the same set of facts as a previous case. The difference is one defendant's white and one is black, and I would see the white person not get jail time, and the black people go to jail, and they even had a lower score because we use a scoring system. So that's when I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he said, you belong in civil rights, and that's how I started. And having the advantage of being in civil rights also gives me advantage here because I studied the Constitution. I know how we're going to make changes to the Voting Rights Act. I know how we're going to make changes. We hear the conversation about overturning Citizens United, and I have to tell people all the time, you can't do it through legislation. You can do it through a constitutional amendment, or as it stands today, the states could have done it from day one. So the bottom line here is, I have the experience, I have the connection, and I have the base, the name recognition more than anyone else. And I'm the only one who's won this race district-wide in the primary 2022. Thank you.
Thank you again. I'm the only candidate who has won an election and held public office. So the last 3 elections I've won in Cape May County, and I've been the mayor of Cape May. Not an easy place for a Democrat to win in Cape May County. But I'm proud of the work that we've done, and the way we've done that, can you still hear me? Okay. The way we've done that is by working with everybody. We have got to bring people into the tent in the Democratic Party. Just remember, we lost the last 2 elections by wide margins. How do we overcome that? We have to invite our independent friends. We have to bring, again, open the tent. But I think that means you have to be able to talk to people on their level. They're tired of hearing Democratic talking points where they feel like we're elitists and we're not talking about the issues that they truly care about, the kitchen table issues that most of us are truly concerned about, and the working family issues that most of us are concerned about. Those are the issues that we in the Democratic Party need to get back into. We need to take back the working class in our country. And because those are the people who should be voting Democrat. Look at the policies that are being pushed by Van Drew and Trump right now that are hurting all of the working class. You know, one thing I'll just mention that just happened a couple of days ago. For the first time since World War II in our country, our debt has surpassed our GDP. So now basically our economy is less than our GDP, our economy is less than our debt. And what does that mean? Look at what happened with the Big Beautiful Bill. And as Tim mentioned with the Big Beautiful Bill, two things to remember how important your vote is. The Big Beautiful Bill passed by one vote, Van Drew's vote. And the war in Iran, the House just voted on, passed by one vote, Jeff Van Drew's vote. And you look at the Big Beautiful Bill, giving tax cuts to billionaires while adding trillions of dollars to our debt. What does that mean? That means that they look at the budget and they say, okay, how are we going to pay for this? Just put the debt on the middle class, give the tax cuts to the billionaires, and you guys will have to pay. And that is what we need to end in Congress immediately. One thing I want to say too that is different about me as to at least one of the candidates is community involvement. That matters. You need to know what your candidate represents and what they're all about. When you hear tonight a lot of canned speeches, what you're going to hear, I hope you recognize that some of it comes from experience and some doesn't. Thank you.